South Jersey Sports Report here on 97.3 ESPN. Your host, Sully from Glory Days Magazine. Check us out, glorydaysonline.com. In studio here with our producer and co-host, Nick Costco. We're taking you up till 10 a.m., at which time we'll turn the mic over to Billy Schweim in the locker room. Right now we're going to welcome in Mark Trible of the Courier Post. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Sully.
What's happening, boss? Been a long time.
I know, man. I'm starting to worry about you. Lose track. Yeah, I was fretting, but you know what? It's good that it's back, and I'm glad that you're still calling me on Saturday mornings, pal.
Let's get to it, man. Were you at a game last night that actually finished?
No, it didn't even start. I was at Shawnee, and they're supposed to play Cherokee in their season opener. That game was postponed to 1 p.m. today. There wasn't a lot up our way. I know down your way with this traditional Cape Atlantic teams, some games did get in, but not really so much in terms of Camden, Burlington, Gloucester counties. A lot of postponements, man. It's going to be a lot of football today. It's going to be wet. It's going to be dreary. I already had a text from a coach that said his field's nearly underwater. They got to play. I said, run the dive play, buddy. That's all you can do.
The 42 dive.
That's right, man. Cannonball.
Now I know you're known as a dapper dude. What's your rain gear looking like? What do you got? You go with the Timberlands or what?
No, the most important thing to me is I have a couple pairs of weatherproof boots. You know, the boots are the deal, man. You don't want wet feet. The rest, umbrella or jacket will take care of the rest. But it's all about the boots. I think you got a double sock. I think it's a necessity on a day like today. You don't want wet feet, man. That's one of the worst feelings ever, stand out there. And at least today it's not cold. You know, sometimes when it's cold, you get wet feet. It's really a nightmare. But I'll be prepared. We still go shirt and tie, man. We don't alter that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the way we play the game.
You going to go old school with a trench coat? Like my old man used to do?
That's a good call, actually. I don't know if I will today because it's still relatively warm. I think I'm just going to go with the umbrella.
Desmond Howard on College Game Day rocking the powder blue suit.
Yeah, I think his is probably a tad more expensive than what I'm going to drum out there. And then he's probably got more people to keep him dry. Yeah, Desmond Howard, man, I think the only thing we have in common is we could both do the pose, even though he won the thing.
So give us some insight into Courier Post area football. We talked a lot with Mike McGarry, the Press of Atlantic City, about some of the Cal teams. Give us some insight on some teams to watch over there in the western part of the West Jersey Football League.
I think today, let's just look at today, Sully. There's some big games we have with some of our top teams. St. Joe's our number one team. I think it's probably the same down there with the Press. They're going to be hosting Millville today, and what'll be a good test, their first game in state. And they have St. Albans next week, who we are also pretty high on. I think we have them number 4 right now. And so can't look past Millville, certainly. You got St. Albans coming up. I expect a good game today. Also, Williamstown is our number 3 team. They're playing up at Rancocas Valley, who I think we have around number 10, number 9. So, that'll be a good game as well. It seems like now with the way the divisions are, it's just going to be a lot of really good games each week within those top 2 or 3 divisions. And really, that's where most of our teams are coming from. Next week, you want to look at Group 1, you got Paulsboro and Pennsville, 2 teams that should be expected to contend for that final in South Jersey. So I think right now, it's wide open after St. Joe and Woodrow Wilson, I think. We're going to see how it all kind of shakes out. And that's the beauty of these divisions, man. We're going to see these teams go up against each other instead of kind of trying to figure it out with string who would beat who on what circumstance.
Yeah, you mentioned Paulsboro and Penns Grove. We don't talk too much about Group 1 on a regular basis, but I saw that Penns Grove team in the preseason against Pleasantville. They got some studs down there. They got some pretty good athletes.
They have a great team, a talented team, and the funny thing about that team is as good as it's been. I saw them open the night. They beat Pennsville 63-3. As good as that team has been, and they only have really 4 seniors who contribute. That's a team that's Tyreek Brown is probably their best. He's their best player, and he's a senior. But the rest of the team will be back next year. I think things are set up for Pennsville to have a nice little run here. But as always, Sully, we talk about it in football and wrestling. Seems like the championship always goes through Paulsboro. And I saw them beat West Deptford last week, and that'll be a rematch when they play next weekend of the South Jersey final last year. So Pennsgrove, certainly, they've got the talent. I think they got the most talent in Group 1, but you still got to beat Paulsboro to do something with it.
Talk with Mark Trible of the Courier Post here on the South Jersey Sports Report. And, Mark, tell us about some of those Cherry Hill area teams, the quality teams like Shawnee, Cherokee. I know Lenape has taken a few lumps so far this season. It looks to me like they're kind of trying to rebound from some graduation losses.
Yeah, Lenape is a team that had a lot of experienced seniors last year, and I think you go down the list. You look Millville, Vineland, Shawnee, Cherokee, Lenape, just some teams that really were senior heavy at spots with a lot of talent and experience. Lenape was one that really lost a lot. This South Jersey Group 5 champs last year, I think they only have 4 or 5 starters back. So certainly they're taking some lumps. Shawnee will always be there. I like them. And South Jersey Group 4 is a team that you should expect to see in the final. Cherokee, we're not sure, first-year head coach. I was excited to see that last night, kind of see what both those teams were putting out on the table. Around the Cherry Hill area, Camden should be strong. Wilson should be extremely strong. Like Nick Cardman, a quarterback, Fidel Diggs, the junior who's received Division I scholarships all over the map. Stanley King going to Louisville as a wide receiver. A lot of talent over at Wilson. Like Camden, too, as I said. Tyreek Austin-Cate playing linebacker over there for the Panthers. They delayed that game with Cedar Creek today. They're down 2-0 to Cedar Creek, and they're going to start back up today. So that's another game to keep an eye on. There is some talent around that area. It's just I don't think things are as sure as last year, Sully. I think we knew who to watch last year in terms of teams, and this year it's kind of more up in the air. We're going to find out who rises to the top.
So, Mark, how does that work with a suspended game and they just pick it up to just say, okay, let's go, guys, 3rd and 6 on the 32?
That's my impression.
Really?
That's my impression, Sully, yeah. And what's funny is there were 2 games last night that I know of that were halted at 2-0. Cinnaminson Pemberton's also 2-0. Cinnaminson is another team. South Jersey Group 2. That's a team we really like. They played really well last year as well under Coach Mario Patrizi. So, yeah, 2 games were 2-0. They just call that sucker and bring it back. In fact, I was talking to Shawnee's coach, Tim Gusher. This is his 36th year. I was talking to him last night during the delay. He said, look, one year we had this thing start on a Friday. We ended it on a Saturday. Another year they started the game on a Thursday because of the Jewish holiday. They couldn't play Friday. They couldn't play Saturday because everybody was on recruiting trips. Sunday, the opposing team would not play on the Sunday. So they didn't end up finishing the game till Monday.
Wow.
I don't know how many years ago that was. I didn't ask Tim out of just being kind. But it's unbelievable, man. You never know what's going to happen. So I hope we can get all this stuff in today. I hope the fields aren't too bad. My fingers are crossed. I know some games had to be moved.
Yeah, you mentioned Cinnaminson. I saw them in preseason as well against Ocean City. I like their quarterback, man. He's a nice little athlete.
Yeah, Ruffin is Sean Ruffin. He is a good athlete. Patrizi told me this is the best team he's had probably coming back in terms of all his years he's been there. Rashad Raymond ran for 244 yards in week 1, beating Cherry Hill West, or week 0, I guess we call it. He's one of the most talented backs in South Jersey, I would say. Cinnaminson plays tough. Last year they had to beat West Deptford. I believe it was on the road to get into the playoffs. They did that. They ended up losing in the 7th. They went to Camden and won in the first round. They lost in the semis to Haddonfield, who also brings a lot back. Those 2 teams will play next week. That's a game you certainly got to keep your eye on. But I think Cinnaminson has the talent, certainly the experience, and we'll see if they can put it together.
Talking with Mark Trible of the Courier Post. And, Mark, I know you're a fashion connoisseur. We were talking to Chuck Smith, Mainland head coach, earlier in the show. They went back to the Kelly Green uniforms. Who's your best new uniform or new helmet?
Well, I do like those Mainland uniforms. The helmet, I like the old helmet as well, so I think the helmet's 6 1/2. I saw that change Salem's helmets are great, and they've always been great, but they adjusted this year. The blue chrome, it's a good look with the white horns. I like Seneca's a lot. They went with that. They wear that winged helmet like Michigan, but they're
right.
White gold this year. Really a sharp look. Pennsville, I thought, really upgraded their uniforms to go. Their red uniforms are pretty good. Simple but very strong with the Pennsville across the front, kind of in the same manner of Oklahoma has the Sooners across the front. A lot of good tweaks, man, and I think it's cool that kids are a part of the process. The coaches are actively every year. It's like, how can we do better? They have something the kids want to wear on Friday nights. I like Millville's helmets a lot.
Yeah, those are cool.
I saw them. I can't wait to see them in person today with the checkerboard blue and orange stripe down the middle and kind of that rustic orange chrome look on the outsides. So it's cool, man. I love it.
Yes, Cedar Creek used to be more of a green team, but now they've gone to more maroon, and they went with the the pewter helmet of like Tampa Bay. Yeah,
Cedar Creek has had some interesting looks over the years.
How about the black with the neon green? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, for better or worse, they've been kind of. I feel like they're kind of like the Oregon of the West Jersey football league.
Kind of, yeah.
They've had some really interesting looks. But yeah, I think the maroon's a good. I think last year was maroon and dark gray with a dark green more so.
Yep.
And that was a pretty solid look. Those aren't colors you usually see together. So if you can find a way to mix and match them perfectly, it could be really, really cool.
So overall, number one helmet. What do you got?
I think it's hard to beat Salem.
Yeah.
I really do. I know they changed it this past off season, but it still looks sharp. I like the ram horns, and they have the ram horns. It's not like the LA Rams. LA Rams, it's just kind of flat, it's just white. These have the detail. They actually look like horns,
right.
It's just cool, man. I mean, Salem always has a great look. The blue and white, you can't go wrong. They used to wear these, I'm sure they still do, these powder blue pants on Thanksgiving Day. But the helmets are just the best, man. There's no competition, in my opinion.
I'll tell you what, I kind of liked Pleasantville's look in the season opener. They went with the black jersey with the maroon and white numbers, and the white helmet with that kind of big greyhound head.
Yeah, you don't see too many greyhound football teams.
Yeah.
So then like I said with the colors for Cedar Creek, then that gives you a unique opportunity to kind of do something nobody's ever seen before. So, I mean, the helmets were great. And the players they got are great. So that makes it look even better when they're flying around the field,
know? So what's on your schedule for today, Mark, real quick before we let you go? What's on the what should we be looking out for this afternoon?
Well, I'm going to be at St. Joe, Millville down in Hamilton, but there's so much good action today, Sully. I really think if you went back and replaying this, who knows how it would have worked out because there are so many games that got postponed. Saturday football in South Jersey is always a special thing, but it's usually limited to probably 7, 8 games. So you kind of hone in on the smaller schools or schools without lights like St. Joe. Today it's wide open, and there's games all day. They start at 10:30. They're going at 7 o'clock at night. So if the weather clears up for some of you out there, go out and find a game to watch. And I'm sure a lot of coaches will be scouting the ones that played last night as well. So plenty of action, but I'll be seeing the Wildcats and the Thunderbolts at noon. It should be a great one.
Outstanding stuff as always, Mark. We appreciate the time, and we'll catch up with you next week.
All right. Thanks, Sully. Be good, man.
Have a good one, man.
You too.